standardize the capability of every state. Like they give example about the China, but we are facing the problem here in African where they don't have the enough technology to see which is the emission that is going to be produced on that kind of industrial country. And the second of all, they said that African is not knowledge enough to process the money. So you think the developed country now the better. So the problem is that the development country doesn't experience it directly about the effect of the global the climate change. We think that money could be used to buy health, to buy technology, to buy knowledge, but the status quo is that yes, there is already help from the other country, but the help is not as major as it will be concluded on our mechanism. So the problem like that, the problem of knowledge, health, etc., is still there on our mechanism. Okay, so I will bring one major arguments that about the effectivity and the efficiency when using the developed world to fund the African climate adaptation. So first is that we know that the version of developed country and developing country, mostly in Africa, is that developing country needs help to overcome the problem that hampers their process to be developed country. And the problem is that environment is a fundamental part because environment affect the health of the people, affect the knowledge of the people, affect the resources of the people. But the problem is that majority in an African is a failure because there consists a lot of desert. We cannot standard. They might say about what about the desert country like Saudi Arabia? Well, we cannot standardize that kind of country because they have the different starting point. In Saudi Arabia, they are fighting from their own religion and they are adapted enough to be developed country. But in Africa, their development is always interfered by a lot of country, which is that on African, they consist a lot of problems like apartheid regime, etc., etc. And the second of all, the development is really low. Status quo in Zimbabwe, the $1,000 trillion of Zimbabwe is equal to 1,000 of the 1,000 rupiah in Indonesia. So you know how bad the economical is. And then they cannot go on with the problem that is present, so they need fund to be developed. So first, about the effectivity, there is two kinds of benefits. The first about the effectivity, and the second is about the efficiency. On effectivity side, in general is that the overall problem on Africa is how they can propose their health, knowledge, and environment in order to maintain a life worth investing, a life worth developing. First about the health problem. A lot of diseases because lack of clean water, staple food, even on their polluted surroundings. A serious disease like HIV or even Ebola exists from the very first place are from Africa where they are really polluted there. So to overcome this kind of problem, we will give it not just closed foods or etc., but also about the education that could be used in such situation in order to maintain life without help. So how that kind of education help? We give them money and then they decide what their money are going to be like. They will come. They will make the teacher from the other country maybe to come to Africa, like that really needs money and more something like that. The second is about the knowledge problem, where we know that they can develop their resources well. Example is that diamonds are excavated by other countries, but the diamond itself exists on the African, so meaning that Africans cannot equally treat their resources. To overcome that, we need a lot of technology and knowledge or something like that comes from the money on our modern civilizations will not only about climate but also to the boosting of the developing process. When that kind of problem about diamond or something like that are done in that kind of country, that will be boost developing process on that kind of country. And